This is Peanut, an adopted squirrel that became a social media star with more than 3 million followers across platforms. He was even the face of an animal sanctuary, named Peanut's Freedom Farm. But in a recent and very sad turn of events, the government took Peanut from his home and euthanized him.
4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon. And then they took them and killed them.
This set off an intense chain of events, including a massive online backlash, more than 10 reported bomb threats, a new proposed law in New York, references during the American presidential election, and there's even an OnlyFans page somewhere in the story. We have to start 7 years ago. Mark Longo found Peanut when he was only 5 weeks old. Peanut and his mother were crossing the street when his mother was struck by a car. Mark decided to take Peanut home and attempted to raise him to be strong enough to be released. But the release did not go very smoothly. Peanut lost half his tail in an attack and promptly returned home. Since then, Mark has been posting content of himself and Peanut on TikTok and Instagram. And it proved to be a winning formula. Based on this post on Peanut's current TikTok account, they even managed to get up to 2 million followers on their first TikTok account, before it got deleted. In fact, things went so well that in 2023, Mark and his partner opened an animal sanctuary. The sanctuary was named after its mascot, Peanut's Freedom Farm. It has its own social media page and there we can see that they shelter more than 350 animals. But then, suddenly, the following post came up on their social media. Mark wrote that the New York Department of Environmental Conservation came to his home and took Peanut away. It happened on Wednesday, the 30th of October 2024, and the DEC was very intense about the issue.
2 days ago, 10 to 15 DEC officers raided my home. They even asked my wife for immigration status. They spent 5 hours taking apart my house for a squirrel and a raccoon.
Mark believes that the government was tipped off by an online stranger. More on that later in the video. But first, Mark quickly responded by creating a petition to bring Peanut back home, which collected more than 10,000 signatures. He also created a GoFundMe in Peanut's name, in order to raise money for the animal sanctuary and the potential legal fees. At the time I'm recording this video, it has raised about $230,000. But unfortunately, it was to no avail, because the DEC decided to euthanize Peanut. The DEC claims that it was done because Peanut bit one of their agents. The agents then decided to euthanize Peanut to test him for rabies. And that's because a rabies test needs an examination of the brain and the nervous system, which is not possible while an animal is still alive. And Peanut was not even the only one. The same happened to Fred the raccoon, who was also taken away from the Longo home. Now this set off a massive backlash online. Many online comments indicating their anger at the death of the cute animals. Also, a few individuals weighed in that there are 0 reported cases of squirrels carrying rabies. And now the count is still at 0, because it turns out that Peanut did not have rabies. There have even been media reports linking Peanut's death to bomb threats. See this article for example. New York agencies receive bomb threats following seizure, euthanasia of Peanut the squirrel. In the article we can read that the DEC had already received 12 bomb threats within the span of 48 hours after Peanut was taken from his home. But the author does add some nuance. The correlation between the euthanasia of Peanut and the bomb threats was not yet solidly established. And it seems that the threats were deemed to be non-credible. The issue also escalated into politics. Jake Blumenkrantz, a Republican politician from New York, introduced a new law.
That's why I'm introducing Peanut's Law. Within Peanut's Law, we'll allow for a 72-hour waiting period in which notice and appeals can take place before seizure or euthanization. We've also included safeguards right here that'll protect sanctuaries just like Peanut's Freedom Farm all over the state of New York. We're looking to make sure we can get as many people as possible to support and sign on to this piece of legislation to make sure tragedies like this never happen again. You can help by asking your state lawmaker to sign.
But it even went beyond the state borders and seeped into the presidential election of the United States of America. J.D. Vance, the running mate of Donald Trump in 2024, had this to say.
I know Don's fired up about Peanut the squirrel. We were on the way down here from Cincinnati. He was like, is it really the case that the Democrats murdered the Elon Musk of squirrels? And I said, yeah, it sounds like, have you seen the videos of this squirrel? He's a genius, or he was, unfortunately, but the same government that doesn't care about hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrant criminals coming into our country, doesn't want us to have pets. It's the craziest thing.
Mr. Musk also weighed in that President Trump will save the squirrels.
It's government overreach, and this just keeps getting worse every year, and that's why we've got to fight back against this. It's people say like, well, it's just a squirrel. Well, it was in John Wick's case, it was just a dog.
Right. Yeah.
Now, as to why the DEC put up such a massive show, some people online were pointing out that Mark Longo did not have the proper paperwork to keep Peanut, so he was breaking the law. But to counter that argument, Mark has stated that he was working on getting Peanut registered as an educational animal. That way, he would be able to keep Peanut legally. But Mark himself seemed to think that the people who reported him to the government had some other motives. He is quoted by TMZ to have said, "I think there's an ulterior motive here. And it seems it has to do with my spicy social media presence, especially since other than taking the animals, they took no action against me." And upon doing some searching, I did find that Mark indeed has a spicy online presence, a top 0.06% OnlyFans account named Squirrel Dad. Apparently, he was so successful with his account that he managed to make enough money with it to buy the property that would later become the animal sanctuary.
It was a way for me to make the money I had to make to buy this place. Okay. So it was like, okay, some provocative photos, this and that. People enjoy me a little bit more on a different side of social media. It is what it is. It was an ample opportunity. It went much better than we anticipated, and it bought this property. It bought the beginning of this place.
And based on this article by the New York Post, Mark seems to speculate that Peanut was reported to the DEC by someone who was jealous of his success. And just to be clear, I did not mean to slander Mark or his partner with this part, but I would not be reporting the full story if I did not include this. Now, whatever the reasons for the DEC's aggression, Mark Longo is planning legal action to deal with what he sees as government overreach. So, this story may develop even a bit further. Now, that was it for this video about Peanut. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. It's quite a sad story and not as humorous as some of my other videos, but I thought it did make for something interesting. And I think it's good to spread the message. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one. Goodbye.